What's up, Collider TV Talk fans? Josh Macuga here with Thadd Williams and special guest. You guys know her from Collider TV Talk 1.0. Ladies and gentlemen, the queen of anime, Emma Fyffe.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
It's about time we got you in here.
Yeah.
I apologize for not getting in here sooner.
No, it's true. It's funny because this films at the same time as Jedi Council, and inevitably every single time Macuga was like, hey, can you be on TV Talk? I'm like, on Jedi Council that day.
I see where the priorities lie.
What are you going to do?
But
hey, there's Star Wars television shows
I know,
coming.
It's so true.
So now you can come talk about it.
That's the thing is, I feel like today also we're going to get a lot of crossover with what they are talking about on Jedi Council because there was some big news in the world of Star Wars television series.
Yes, there was.
In the Daily Mandalorian. That's the newspaper within
Daily
there.
Mandalorian.
It's like their email chain.
Sure, totally.
You know what I mean?
It's a forwarded email letter.
Yeah,
It
it used to be a publication that would be on stands like outside of coffee shops.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, on Tatooine or wherever.
Totally.
Yeah, totally. All right, this is Collider TV Talk. You guys can hashtag it Collider TV Talk. You guys can find us on Twitter. I'm at Josh Macuga. That's at Thadd Williams, at Emma Fyffe. You guys can find the show on the Collider podcast channel. You can also find it on the Collider TV Talk has its own podcast channel. So you guys can subscribe there, rate, like, give us 5 stars, tell your friends, share it, listen to it in your car, wherever you want to do. If you like TV and you like us talking about it, that's why we're here. Emma's got some fun anime to talk about later, some animation, some Emma-mation. Thadd's got some business, got a full slate here, so let's get into it. Jack Reacher's getting a TV reboot. I guess they got a little jealous of Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
Can I tell you that, quite honestly, I had a moment where I was confused between what Jack Reacher was and what Jack Ryan was.
It's a common
I was
misconception.
Like, it's just two dudes named Jack. And so when they were like, oh, Jack Reacher's getting a TV series, I'm like, didn't that already...
I kind of look at it like when a company comes out, like when they did In Cold Blood with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then they did like a Capote movie with the guy, the other guy.
Well, Capote was the Philip Seymour Hoffman.
And then
they did another one with Toby Jones.
Toby Jones, that's who it is.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's the same guy. It's Jack Reacher, Jack Ryan, same initials, same everything.
Yeah.
The only thing different about Jack Reacher is like he's a man on the run. Right?
Yeah. He's closer to Jack Bauer in the sense that the authorities are going after him. Jack Ryan kind of works within the system.
Right.
I wasn't even making a joke. That's actually accurate.
There's just so many Jacks.
I was going to say, and Jack Ryan is like a professor. I mean, he's he's ex-military, but he's also like really a book kind of dude.
Yeah, he's the Indiana Jones
totally,
of
yes, exactly.
the CIA, which is why Harrison Ford played him.
Yes.
That was his main quote of why not to get on an airplane, and then all of a sudden he's the greatest sniper in the history of the CIA, which I dug. I liked that series. Did you see that series?
Totally. Oh, yeah.
That was good.
I love John Krasinski. I think that he is just wonderful. I think he was extremely well cast in that part.
Yeah.
And I think that, everybody just thought of him as Jim from The Office, and we've been sleeping on him for years, and then he comes out with his great directorial debut with Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Which
was awesome, too.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so, yeah. And I love Emily Blunt too. Like that's relationship
I just want to hang out with them.
Yeah, totally.
I just want to hang out with them. They sound like they're so much fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would you like from a Jack Reacher TV series? Well, I mean, the funny part of this was that the reason they're doing it without Tom Cruise is because he's too short.
I feel like that.
According to Lee.
Well, yeah, he was hilariously miscast.
Yeah.
In the role to begin with.
Yeah.
My father-in-law, who reads everything, loves the Jack Reacher book series, right? And so when Tom Cruise got cast, he was legit upset. It was sort of like when Michael Keaton got cast in the 1989 Batman and the world exploded, what I mean? Before there was internet. He was really upset. He's like, Tom Cruise is too short. Jack Reacher's like 6'4", which... Krasinski's a tall dude.
He is, yeah.
But he can't play both Jacks.
He cannot play both Jacks, no.
Yeah,
no,
that would be that's too many Jacks.
What was the name of the movie in Tropic Thunder that Ben Stiller...
Simple Jack.
Simple Jack.
Simple Jack.
Yes, Thadd Williams, everybody.
Yeah.
Another Jack movie. So what would you want to see from a Jack Reacher TV series?
I mean, a better a better, more fleshed out story. I think that a lot of when you look at you look at Jack Ryan, you look at Bosch, you look at these crime novel series.
Bosch is incredible.
Yeah, which we'll talk about in a minute because they got a pickup.
Yeah.
But they don't really work in feature film adaptations. A lot of
Okay.
times, I feel like these stories they
because
need the long.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because I think simply by virtue of the fact that you are talking about a crime series, even in a single novel, you have a lot more time to have a multi-layered kind of. You need to unravel all the pieces. So I think that is the thing. Is just. I would like to see it just take its time.
Yeah. I think, and that's why we all enjoyed Jack Ryan so much.
Yeah.
And there wasn't, because Jack Ryan was 8 episodes, and we've been preaching this since 1.0.
Man.
Thad and I get into
8 episodes is prime.
Right?
Prime.
Yeah.
8 to 10. I really think this season of Daredevil, any season of the Marvel series, would have been so better served. I've said it a billion times, in between 8 and 10 episodes, especially this season of Daredevil. But I don't think I know enough about Jack Reacher other than the first one I really liked. It was shot in Pittsburgh, so clearly it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the second one was just very... the title itself kept people away from theaters. It was Never Go Back. You're like, no shit. We didn't need a second one.
we didn't need another one of these movies.
Didn't like the first one, so
Yeah.
you're welcome. I
Right.
won't come back.
Yeah, done and done. Don't
Yeah.
take my money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that this is one of those things where if I was more familiar with the novels that serve as the source material for this, then I probably would be really excited from
Sure.
the point of view of now there's an opportunity for something that has existing source material to really dig into that and make something that's a little more faithful to people that are fans of it. Because I think we've all experienced it where you see an adaptation of something that you really love that you didn't enjoy,
Right.
and you're excited when it gets another chance.
Yeah, and I think it's like a redemption song, I guess, for Jack Reacher fans. If you're out there, if you're out there and you have read all the Jack Reacher books, let us know what you think
There
the
are,
show should look like.
I just looked it up. There's 23 novels.
Oh my God.
And about a dozen short stories and novellas that they've put out
Jeez.
since '97. The newest one just came
Whoa.
in. The newest one comes out this month.
That is
my
prolific.
Yeah, and Bosch is the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan, Rainbow Six series
Yep.
is the same thing. They have all of this source material, and
I have
it's hard to put it into 2 hours.
I have a hard time writing a paragraph.
I was going to
a
say,
day, so
I think if you took all my tweets, it would make like 2 novels, and there's 32,000 of them.
one novella.
Yeah, one
one
novella.
novella.
Yeah.
Tweets of Josh Macuga.
Tweets by me. So let's move on. Okay. Pedro Pascal was cast in The Mandalorian, which was kind of everybody expected.
Yeah,
it, right?
it was a pretty strong rumor
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, and
He seems like the go-to dude on TV right now.
but like, why not? You
So
know what
I
I mean?
love it.
Like, he's phenomenal.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I love Narcos. I can't wait for Narcos
Oh,
Mexico.
yeah.
I can't. I mean, him as Pena in the first 3 seasons of Narcos is fantastic. Him as the Red Viper was amazing, and that was kind of his introduction to a lot of
Sure.
people.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
in Game of Thrones. For this. Listen, I don't know a lot of what this is going to look like, right? Because I'm not the diehard Star Wars fan, whatever. But you put Pedro Pascal in a role, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm on board. I don't know when he takes off the mask if he's going to...
Totally. I mean, I was so excited for this series anyway because I love Mandalorians, and if you've never
Is that on your Tinder profile?
It's on my Tinder profile, exactly.
I love
Must love
Mandalorians.
Mandalorians. If you cannot tell me the capital city of Mandalore, we cannot go out.
Is Mandalore kind of like that city in Game of Thrones that became stone?
Well, Mandalore is a planet.
Oh, it's a planet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But
Crushing it, Josh.
But no, but the thing is that for me is that within new canon of Star Wars, the Mandalorian culture has been explored a fair amount actually within Clone Wars and also in Star Wars Rebels, and they're so interesting. And there's this whole dichotomy of they were this sort of warrior society, and then because things got so out of control and there was this big war between them and the Jedi, and basically at the end of all of that, there was a person who kind of took Mandalore in a totally new direction where she's like, nope, we're pacifists now. But also this was like during the prequel era. They're like, we don't want to get involved in any of these wars with, the Republic and the Separatists and things like that. Like, we're a neutral system. So again, it's this really, really interesting culture, but most
Like
people...
a Switzerland.
A little bit,
Okay.
but a little more aggressive.
Do they have a bank?
Well, kind of. I like the Mandalore
Yeah,
bank.
yeah.
Sounds like it makes sense.
Yeah.
But and then like during the rebellion era, there was like a big occupation on Mandalore by the Empire. So again, this is something that if you have never watched any of the animated series, you don't have any of this information.
Right.
And I think that there are a lot of people that are hesitant to watch the animated series because, especially in the US, I think it's getting better now because we're getting more and more really great series that are geared towards adults straight out, like things like Big Mouth is amazing, or are, totally friendly for kids to watch, but have very adult themes to them, like we see with things like any of the stuff that the team that did Avatar: The Last Airbender put out, so like Avatar, Korra,
Sure.
Voltron. But again, I feel like there's this great part of Star Wars that so many people are missing out on, and I think
That's for me.
Because it was a show. It was a show for 6-year-olds.
Clone Wars?
Clone Wars and Rebels were on Disney XD, which.
Rebels was on Disney XD.
Yeah,
Clone Wars went through a few different iterations. It was
Yeah.
on Cartoon Network for a while, and then the last
But
season of it was only ever on Netflix.
It was always geared towards young children.
I disagree with that. I think that it is. I think it is aimed more at sort of a 10-year-old audience, not
Okay.
quite so young as 6.
Okay.
It's more of a Transformers Prime and less of a Rescue Bots.
Okay.
For anybody that watches
fair.
Transformers series.
fair.
Well done, Emma. So do we think in the series, so for a casual Star Wars fan like myself who's just seen the movies, obviously I know that when somebody's like, what's your favorite movie? I'm like, Rogue One?
I love Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're going to get more of it, so I hope you liked it.
No, I'm
I
sorry.
hope you liked it because
Exactly.
there's more coming.
do you think they're going to give us some origin story of the Mandalorians, or do you think they're going to go right into it because they're expecting the Star Wars fans to already know?
No, I think that the thing I think that Star Wars does extremely well is they don't assume you watch everything.
Okay, thank God.
With the movies, they go, we assume you've only watched the other movies, so we're going to put in Easter eggs. Like in Rogue One, there were several Star Wars Rebels Easter eggs, which I mean, I like straight up jumped out of my seat and cheered when I heard them call General Syndulla over the comms.
Okay.
But for other people watching who don't know who Harrison Syndulla is, like they didn't miss out on anything by not having that reaction that I did. So
Gotcha.
I think that, again, it's something that Star Wars does really, really well, where they are aware that there's a lot of content that they're putting out there, but not everybody is reading it. So they put or watching it, whatever sort of form it may be it novels, comics, cartoons. I think that there will definitely be Easter eggs for people who have, dug into things like Aftermath, which there's certainly some good stuff that they can pull from that in regards to like Boba Fett. But yeah, so I think that I don't think that it is going to dissuade the more casual, if you will, Star Wars fan from watching it.
Yeah, I would assume that they would be very, very much cognizant that they're trying to reach the broadest audience possible.
Well, that's exactly it. Is I think that I also think that now the live action Star Wars TV series is completely uncharted territory.
100%.
It has never, ever happened before. So you're potentially looking at reaching a completely new audience by doing this. So
are you going to get that they're now calling Disney Plus? We've been talking about on the show for a while.
I'm sorry, how can I not? Because
Yeah.
I'm dying to watch this. I'm dying to watch the Cassian Andor series. Like,
yeah. And that's the other thing that they announced.
I have two questions.
Yes.
You want a Cassian Andor series?
Heck yeah, I do. Okay, so
do you want it strictly because of like
of Diego Luna?
No. Like
I like Diego Luna. I'm a
the
fan.
desire to tap in more to the Rogue One thing, or is it more because you just want more live action Star Wars properties?
It's the first one. It's specifically because I want to get more into the Rogue One stuff, because I personally loved Rogue One. I know that some people didn't. I really did, because I really like the not Jedi stories. I love the stories of the rebellion. And Cassian Andor has some interesting backstory and things like Catalyst. It's not in Catalyst, it's in the novelization of Rogue One.
Gotcha.
That I think they'll tap into a little bit for the series, which I'm really looking forward to. And again,
what do they call the series? What do you think they're going to call it?
Rogue Zero?
Rogue Zero.
I like that I was validated on two things in Star Wars. One, I made a joke on Movie Talk that I was like, now, is it Rogue One or is it a Rogue One.
Oh,
Because she was a Rogue One, right? And Christian was like, "That's a call sign, you idiot." And I was like, and then they came out and she said, "Well, it's a play on things." And I was like, validation.
Yes.
Second validation is in this Mandalorian show, we did a draft of who we thought was going to be in The Force Awakens back in the Schmoes days, okay?
Nice.
And I, as a joke, picked Gina Carano because I knew that Ellis had a crush on her, and now she's in the Mandalorian series. Validation in the Star Wars kingdom.
Yes.
And that leads me to my questions.
Yes.
So, I'm all for The Mandalorian. I think it's going to be an awesome series. The director list that they came out with.
Awesome.
Really.
So excited.
So excited. When they announced Pedro Pascal was the lead, they said that they've been filming around him. So I wonder how many scenes in the first few episodes are just going to be him
double.
in his helmet.
Yeah.
And we just haven't seen.
And he's just doing ADR.
Yeah, it's
because they started filming, almost a month ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just now cast their lead actor. My second question, the second
It's
person...
on a B-roll.
Yeah. The
What a planet
The
looks.
second person that they've announced in this show is Gina Carano.
Are you insulting Gina Carano now?
I'm
Go. You know
I
that?
am-
You can leave.
I am questioning her acting ability in the Star Wars universe or in anything in general if this is the second lead of the show.
But what if she is in a Mandalorian
I
costume?
wonder. That's my
Yeah,
question.
if she's also
then where is
Mandalorian.
the rest of the cast list? Where they've been in production for a month. Where is the cast list? Where are the people that they've been filming for the last 4
They're
weeks?
on Mandalore, Thad. Jesus,
I don't know.
man.
I just have
No, I'm with you.
It gives me a lot of pause that these are the only two actors that we've seen because this is clearly going to be a weighty series. It's going to be a 10-part show. It's geared towards a large audience, adults, children, everything. There needs to be a certain level of acting that they've brought to all of the films.
Yeah.
And the voice casts in all of the animated projects. I'm wondering where that is here. And it scares me.
I don't know. Here's my thing though. I think that listen. Let's talk Fast and the Furious for a second because you had.
Let's do it.
Because I think that there were a lot of people going into the film Wonder Woman that had their doubts about another Fast and the Furious alumni, Gal Gadot,
that's
and
fair.
that she exceeded everybody's expectations.
She
For
sure
the
did.
most part, she was very, very universally praised for her portrayal of that character. And I think maybe Gina Carano could be another sleeper hit.
It
I'm on
could be
board
done.
with Carano.
It could be done.
Call me
It could be done.
Carano.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that I appreciate too is that from my perspective with Gina Carano is that Star Wars clearly has a type. They like brunettes. Yet another one, but at least she's she's certainly not old by any means, but she's more mature. She's kind of like mid-30s, you know? So
What do you think is a fair price for the Disney Plus?
a fair price.
Yeah.
I think just your standard like $7.99 a month.
It's going to be $15.99. I
think
swear
so?
to God.
God damn it.
I think so. I think because isn't Netflix now like we're all? I'm grandfathered into an old plan.
Right.
Yes, so am
but
I.
think the new ones are like at least $12.99.
Oh, really?
I think.
I just know I pay $11.99 for my Hulu with no commercials.
Yeah.
So.
Does Netflix still send DVDs?
You can sign up for them.
Yeah, there are plans that have DVDs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a Netflix DVD in a long time. All right, let's transition here. Let's switch gears. Silicon Valley is not. We're not going to see a season 6 until 2020.
HBO is like, we're just going to release our series whenever we feel like it.
Yeah.
And I love Silicon Valley. So this seems like a huge gap in time, and I understand it's for.
Yeah, it's for production problems with Alec Burr's schedule because he's the showrunner of Silicon Valley and Barry.
Betty.
And so
yeah, Barry.
Barry is still in production and isn't scheduled to. They're not scheduled to finish until I guess the spring or whatever.
Okay.
And Silicon Valley is then getting pushed until next summer to actually shoot. And so it sounds like that next year's comedy slate is going to be Barry and the final season of Veep.
Right.
And then 2020 would be the presumed final season of Silicon Valley, and then Barry or whatever else they have in the pipeline.
It's better not be camping, because that show, I was insulted.
Camping?
I don't think camping will be on the list by 2020.
Yeah.
I don't
think it's going to make it that far.
Speaking of HBO, though, we got, like, I'm going to jump down here real quick, but we got that Game of Thrones is going to air in April from a teaser that is basically just old Game of Thrones highlights.
Footage.
But it's going to be in April, so if you had a vacation planned in April, you should probably cancel it.
Because you're going to be watching a lot of Game of Thrones.
A lot of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and it sounds like I was hearing someone say probably early April, so that every episode, including the series finale, gets in before the
summer.
Emmy deadline at the end of June.
Smart.
So they kind of back timed it, and they're thinking like the first couple weeks of
I feel
April.
like I feel like Game of Thrones is now doing it's kind of like with Lord of the Rings, where they finally really started winning Oscars with Return of the King, and it was basically like an homage to you guys put in a lot of fucking work on those movies, and I think that's where Game of Thrones is going with the Emmys this year, of like, we're gonna win all the awards, and the Emmy people are just gonna have to be like, all right.
It was a 6-year Lifetime Achievement Award for Return of the King is what it was.
They might not even bother airing the Emmys this year. Like, just phone them in.
Right?
Like,
I mean, nobody. It was
just
you
go
and
to
I
the-
watched it. That was
we were
it.
the only, I mean, I love award shows, but I mean, the Game of Thrones is going to win everything.
No,
so there's no
100%.
point.
Yeah.
There's really no
definitely.
point.
New trailer for my favorite animated show next to Big Mouth, which is F is for Family, the Bill Burr show. It comes out at this time every year. It has for the last 3 years.
Around Thanksgiving?
Right around Thanksgiving, like early Christmas. But so the first 2 seasons took place in the wintertime. And, okay, the reason why I love F is for Family is, one, is Bill Burr has never transitioned, has never, like, translated to mainstream television because he is so crass and so biting, right? And when he's on talk shows, he's hysterical. Like when he goes on Fallon, he just kind of clowns Fallon. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
But his live action has never really, because he is so, he pushes the limits so well.
Right. Minus his wonderful turn on Breaking Bad.
Yes.
And I really hope he shows up in Better Call Saul.
Me too. Because we've already seen his partner.
Yeah.
But in F is for Family, he's able to, just like in Big Mouth, because if you were to do Big Mouth live action, it would be NC-17.
Oh, it would be terrible.
It'd be
I mean, exactly. I don't know that it would be very, very, very disturbing.
Very disturbing, yes. But in F is for Family, they're able to really push the limits with all this kind of stuff. And I can't recommend this show high enough. The funny thing is that this season takes place in summertime. And we've never really seen the family in like a summertime. And finally, young Bill gets a girlfriend, that kind of stuff. This show is very, very well done. Takes place in the 70s. So but the cool thing about it is it had that feeling. You know, when you got home from school, did your parents, because my parents both worked. So I had like that latchkey kid for about 2 hours to just do stupid things. Yeah. Right. And that's what this show reminds me of. That time when I got home from school until my parents came home. It was like, what is Josh going to do today to get himself in trouble? Like, is he going to build a snowboard jump in the backyard? Is he going to light something on fire? And F is for Family is all about that. And
that's great.
It is really just one of the most heartfelt, well done yet crass animated shows on TV. So I highly recommend it. There's a new trailer, November 30th. So the weekend of after Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Yeah,
after Thanksgiving.
Friday after Thanksgiving.
Moving on, Will Forte and Heidi Gardner. Do I know Heidi Gardner?
She's on SNL. She does the girlfriend of every boxer.
Oh yes, yes.
And the internet movie critic.
Yes,
yeah.
And are doing a late night animated version of Weekend Update from the point of view of aliens scoffing at Earth's problems for sci-fi. It pairs with the Futurama reruns. I love this idea.
I just saw this. It's called Alien News Desk. And
that's funny.
Sci-Fi's first late night show. It's a weekly half-hour topical animated show. So they're basically, and it's the showrunner is the current head writer of Weekend Update.
Okay.
And so they are going to skewer the news, but from the point of view of the outsiders of aliens.
Like Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
I love Space Ghost.
Yeah,
Coast to
Space
Coast.
Ghost was great. And so they're going to basically commentate about the universe's most baffling species, the inscrutable humans of planet Earth. And so they're the two of them are going to voice the two anchors, Drex and Tuva. And Sci-Fi is going to pair it with reruns of Futurama, so they're going to have like a 1 hour alien
Nice.
block.
I like that.
It makes sense. It sounds fun. I mean, it's yet another Broadway video project from Lorne Michaels.
Right.
I love Will Forte with every ounce of my being.
Totally.
And I've been waiting to see what he does next after the sad cancellation of Last Man on Earth.
I know.
So
yeah.
We were big fans
I
of
loved
Last Man
that
on
That
Earth.
was such a good
It
show.
really was. It was ahead of its time.
It was one of those shows too that I think it shouldn't have worked.
No.
right.
But it did, and
Yeah.
it was brilliant.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
I did Clark Wolf's podcast.
Yeah.
This week, and what I liked about it is, we talked about AFI, and I picked a comedy,
Yeah.
obviously, and then I talked about a comedy that should be. You talk about a comedy that should be on the AFI list, and I chose Dumb and Dumber, but I was this close to choosing MacGruber because
MacGruber's incredible.
Yeah.
MacGruber is genius. Sam Levine has an amazing story about MacGruber too, and he went to see
Yes,
a
he's told me
live
that story.
stage reading.
Oh yeah, I think he's told me this story
It was
before.
a 3.5 hour stage reading of the script. It was like a 280 page script.
Yeah.
So anything that Will Forte does, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my MacGruber too.
Me too. There was all that rumors that he was going to film it. He was
Yeah.
secretly filming it in between Last Man on Earth seasons.
And we just
Yeah.
it's one of those things. But this, I love anything that pokes fun, late night style,
Yeah.
especially Weekend Update kind of style. Any political humor. I'm obsessed with John Oliver, Last Week Tonight, all that kind of stuff. This may get me to watch stuff on Sci-Fi because I've never been a Sci-Fi fan. I've never really watched anything on the channel. I know I get a lot of hate for that. Why do you host TV Talk on Collider if you don't watch Sci-Fi? But I just don't. It's me.
You said it earlier. There's enough. There's enough out there for everyone.
Yeah.
And everything is so niche these days that no one is going to like everything. And no one is physically going to be able to watch everything.
Yeah.
So
There's just not time.
yeah.
So there was a tweet this morning, or Instagram meme, I think. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up, and it's about this exact topic. Oh man, it's like aliens probably drive by Earth, be like, nah, doesn't look too nice, and keep going.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true.
To see this show kind of like that, it kind of hits on that. All right, let's move on. George R.R. Martin is developing a TV series as Wild Cards. It's one of his properties at Hulu. It just kind of sounds like another retread of another alien show.
Yeah. I mean, George R.R. Martin started in television, and that was why he went and wrote books, is because they kept telling him his scripts were unproducible. And lo and behold, his books became
biggest thing
arguably
ever.
the most successful series of this century.
Yeah.
But also I'm like, George R.R. Martin, stop going and working all these other projects. Just finish the freaking books, man.
I thought he was supposed to be finished. I thought I saw someone didn't they put out just like an excerpt?
Yes, of
from
Winds of Winter.
Yeah. So does that mean it's done?
It's the
I
forward.
don't know. Yeah, it's just the
preface.
prologue.
Yeah. My goodness, this show. Let me read the whole.
It's an
synopsis
alternate
for you.
timeline
Yes.
in which an alien disease called the wild card virus rewrote DNA from a large part of the population, resulting in a society of superpowers, mutations, and class warfare.
Sounds like a
it
mix
started-
between iRobot.
It started as an anthology. It's an anthology. It featured original stories that George R. R. Martin edited. There've been more collections. The most recent ones came out this year. It sounds interesting. I mean, another science fiction anthology series. I feel like we're getting so many of these in the wake of
It
Black
just
Mirror.
sounds like I said, like a
everybody's
retread of something I've heard before.
Everybody's trying to do their Black Mirror. Like they're like, ooh, sci-fi anthology. That's a great idea. That we've never heard of that before. It's called the friggin' Twilight Zone.
I was gonna say, and
which
we're getting more Twilight Zone.
Yes,
so...
and they're remaking some of the most famous episodes, which really scares me.
I am all for more Twilight Zone.
Correct.
Because I feel like Twilight Zone was already an anthology series. You can do literally whatever stories you want.
Yeah.
And it worked so well as a sci-fi anthology series, but don't remake episodes. It's fine if you have stuff that's an homage, certainly, but I'm
hoping that the one that they've announced is Terror at 30,000 Feet. Adam Scott's going to play the William Shatner character. I do love Adam Scott.
I love Adam Scott.
But My hope is that that's the only remake that they do, or they
Sure,
do like
sure.
or
Well,
like
and
week
I
1.
know some of the people who are writing on that series too, and they're smart writers.
Yeah.
So I
would hope that
I'm very optimistic.
I'm hoping
about it.
I'm hoping that it's a bunch of original stories, and then maybe they remake 1 or 2 episodes
Sure.
to help bring like older viewers back into the fold, kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, this
listen,
this
none
is
of this
great.
interests me.
I'm glad.
I'm sorry.
That's why I'm glad Emma's on the show. 'Cause
Yeah.
we can talk science fiction for a few
Yeah.
minutes.
Go
but
ahead.
yeah, as far as George R. R. Martin, I mean, it seems like he's setting up a lot of projects. Obviously, everyone wants to work with him,
Right.
For very obvious reasons.
Oh, definitely. He comes up with very good stories.
Mostly
He's
to
a good
chloroform him
storyteller.
and see if they can find the book and his writing
I
on his
know,
hard
right?
drive. And
That's the real reason that people want to work with
Yeah.
him is they just want to lock him in a room and be like, finish writing.
Finish the books.
It's the Seinfeld
Finish
episode
'em.
where they convince the girl to drink the box of wine and eat the turkey and pass out so they can play with their toys. And it's dark, but it's funny. All right, let's
love
do a classic. You guys remember from TV Talk 1.0, it's time for Emma-mation. Let's hear it.
So on Tuesday,
Yeah.
the new DreamWorks animation series Shira and the Princesses of Power, not Shira, Princess of Power, which is the 80s series, dropped on Netflix. It's
And Shira is related in the He-Man world,
Yeah,
correct?
she's
That's
his
what I
twin
thought.
sister.
Yes, that's what I
They
thought.
haven't addressed that in this show yet,
Okay.
but also, if I remember correctly, when you first met her in He-Man, she was like possessed by like the horde, the bad guys. Like she was working with the bad guys, and then they're like, "Oh wait, this is totally your twin sister, Adora, Adam," and then she like got saved, which they do like play into. And again, I don't know if I'm recalling that correctly or not. It's been a long time since I've watched like good old classic 80s He-Man.
Yeah, you're on an island on that one.
That's
so
great. Thank you.
We'll take it as fact.
Cool, awesome. Well, it is a fact now, and if it wasn't, that's how it should have been. And if that is the case, then they're paying homage to it in this series because basically it starts off that Adora is working for essentially the bad guys, the Horde, and then there is this rebellion that is being led by like the mom of one of the princesses of power, basically, who is a magical being. Basically, this is magical girl trash that was made specifically for me. And my friend Noelle Stevenson is the showrunner on it, so she got attention first for her webcomic Nimona, and then she wrote Lumberjanes, and then this is her first. She's written on some other animated series, like she worked on
Lumberjanes,
Wander
huh?
Over Yonder, and Lumberjanes.
I like that's a good pun. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it's a bunch of ladies in the woods,
Yeah.
as you might expect. But no, this series, I feel like it's really, really good, and one of the things that it takes a lot of characters from the classic '80s series and puts them into this, because there were a bunch of other princesses in the original series, but they all looked exactly the same and just had like different color schemes as 80s animation was wont to do, particularly with lady characters. And now they're all different shapes and sizes. Mermista is probably my favorite of the princesses of Power.
Mermista.
Yeah, because she's like
Sierra Mist Mermaid?
She's a mermaid. Yeah. Her power, she can actually like turn into a mermaid, but she's like really dry and has this relationship.
Is there any famous voice talent in the Shira?
For the most part, it's a lot of newer young talent. However, Sandra Oh is one of the characters in it. Yeah, she's plays Castrapella.
Hot off Killing Eve.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
had quite the year.
Yeah.
So but for the most part, it's a lot of Grey Griffin does a voice in it as well. She was Azula in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So but I would say Sandra Oh is probably the most famous of the people in it. But the thing that I really like about it is the way that it treats the villains. Like the villains are complicated. It's because again, it starts off with, so basically there's this really good dynamic between Adora and Catra, who was her sort of like best pal. The whole story is like, oh, we found you, you were an orphan, and then we just like raised you to be a bad guy essentially.
Yeah.
And she splits off from them within the first episode, where basically like she gets captured by one of the princesses and she finds the sword and that turns her into Shira, because I mean it is like literally she like,
I remember
magically
Shira. I mean, my brother
transforms.
collected all those Masters of the Universe toys. We had
Yeah.
Shira.
Yeah.
We had it all.
Yeah.
Is this animation similar to a Voltron, or is it similar to a Troll Hunters?
It's like a Voltron. It's 2D, and very much, and not only sort of similar animation wise to Voltron, but also I think similar in feel in that it is very much something that is paying homage to an existing series, but isn't like a cookie cutter, like shot for shot kind of remake. Like it definitely is obviously anything in terms of animation that is particularly aimed at young women, there is a lot of sort of power of friendship themes to it, which is a good thing. But that's something they really explore in this, and all the women in it are, the young girls in it. They're very multifaceted. They get jealous. They have weird feelings about stuff, but ultimately they support each other. And again, the relationship between Adora and Catra is super interesting because frenemies isn't really quite the right term for what they are.
I was going to go there.
But they're not, even though they're in opposition to one another because Adora ends up joining the rebellion, they're not entirely just like straight up enemies. So it's really...
How many episodes?
It is 13.
Okay.
I think
Have you watched
13.
them all?
I've watched 9 of them so far. And it's just really good.
So we had Ace in here talking about the Avatar Last
Yes.
Airbender live action series. So I haven't got a chance to ask you about it. What do you think about that?
Here's my thing is I think that I am excited about it from the perspective of this is potentially an opportunity for a lot of young, up-and-coming actors of color to be represented in a TV show that people are going to watch. It's kind of the same thing. Like there was a lot of kind of people who were up in arms about Charmed being remade with a Latina cast.
Okay.
But at the same time, you have to understand, I think, that it's hard. If they had just gone in, the people who were writing Charmed or that are working on Avatar The Last Airbender, which, by the way, is the team that made the animated series.
Right.
So from that perspective, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm totally willing to give it a chance.
Okay.
Because I love the series and it's a great story and I think
Somebody tweeted us, they're like, now that they're making a live action series, will you and Thad watch Avatar: Last Airbender? And I'm going to say no, mostly because I have so much to watch. But
Sure.
I am kind of interested to see the live action because that translates more in my brain than the
totally.
anime.
Well, and listen, I mean, kind of circling back to things that are animated, it's like when they announced that there was going to be a Castlevania series, I thought it was going to be live action. It was not specifically stated outright in the beginning that it was going to be animated. Now, I really enjoy it and I like animated series, and I watched the whole second season and it continued to be really great. And they certainly left it open to do more. But I kind of wanted to see that live action.
Yeah, me too. 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I thought it was a waste. I've animated. I mean, I again,
sure.
it just wasn't for
Well,
me.
this is the thing: is that
2D is really tough on my brain. I just can't wrap around it.
Is that I think that with
It is.
But my thing is that like there's a lot of animated series. Anime series specifically in Japan that are like Castlevania, and they worked with an animation studio that it's a very anime style, even though it's not per se a Japanese production, it's an American production. So I think in some ways, as much as I enjoy the series, it was sort of a waste to do it animated just because stuff like that already exists. Whereas I think if they'd done a live action, we don't necessarily have that so much. But I mean, full disclosure, if they were ever like, there's going to be a live action like Vampire Hunter D, I'd be like, yes, please sign me up. I'm on board. I don't know. I like gothic vampire stuff, I think. That's
fair.
That's fair. But sort of going back to Avatar, it's the same thing where it's like if the people who made, say, Charmed came in and they're like, we want to do a series that's about 3 sisters who are witches and it's all Latina people. People are not maybe necessarily as likely to go, yes, okay, we'll do that. But they're like, it's Charmed. Charmed already has an existing fan base that is either going to watch it because they're excited or they're going to hate watch it. So whatever. It dies.
Hate watch, nothing like it.
And so I kind of feel the same way about Avatar of like, number one, I'm excited that there are people that will probably watch it that are more of, say, sort of your vein, Macuga, of like, I don't like, I can't wrap my brain around 2D animation that's not super, stylized and specifically for adults.
Right.
That's a different that's like a different genre of animated series.
100%, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love Avatar. If it was not the original team working on it, I'd be very, very concerned.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For reasons that exist. Go ahead and watch that M. Night Shyamalan
don't
movie.
do that.
Actually,
Don't
If
tell anyone to
if
do
you
that.
have never seen it, please stay far away. It's not even like so bad it's good. It's just bad.
It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
All right, there's your Emma-mation. Let's move on to some Thad has some business. I'm working on a song.
Yeah, it hasn't.
I'm working on a
you're getting there.
song for you.
You're getting there. You're getting
Yeah.
there. Just a couple quick
Kind
hits
of wanted
here.
to do ludicrous, like, get out my business. That's Thad's business. It's biz. No? All right.
Nah,
cool,
nah,
cool.
nah.
Right.
Good ludicrous pull
What
there.
if it's
Yeah.
it's time for Thad's business?
Oh!
Let's clip that out. Let's clip that out.
I love
it. Yeah. So in the business world, everyone gets an SVOD. Everyone
Yes.
like all the companies have like the streaming apps and the services. Everyone has their standalone things.
The old services.
The services. We just got two personalities are going to get their own branded services. They announced this past week Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer.
It's the service whisperer.
Yeah, it's going to be like a 24-hour dog network branded with Caesar.
Okay.
And then the Fixer Upper couple who have ended their series, Chip and Joanna Gaines, very much on a high note. Don't pretend you haven't watched it.
I love Fixer
I
Upper.
love
Are you
Fixer Upper.
joking?
They're great.
Yes.
They're great. My father thinks their relationship is faked, and I disagree.
100%
I think
disagree.
that it's actual the actual love there.
Yes.
They've got like 12 kids together.
When Amanda and I pitched our home improvement interior design show, that you guys are kind of like Chip and Joanna Gaines, but she's blonde. And that was the note from HGTV. And we're like, does that mean we get a show?
Yeah, because that show's
And then it
doing
didn't.
pretty well. So
Didn't get a show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've been stepping away from the spotlight. They've now announced they're coming back, working with Discovery, the parent company of HGTV, to create their own branded 24-hour network where you're going to get like new shows, new renovations, new like family.
Got to be a fixer-upper
kind of
competition
like
show,
these
right?
people
Yeah.
starting their own podcast networks, basically, to me is what it sounds like, where it's going to be like curated content.
Yes, it's curated content, and it's like a new revenue stream, and it's a whole new.
And is it going to be a
brave new world.
Netflixy kind of streaming service or a Hulu where it's like you click on like you can select a show, or is it going to be more like you go to twitch.tv/this
Right.
and there's always something streaming?
I think it sounds like to me these are going to be bundled inside of larger app. Like if you
Got it.
Like if you download the HGTV app and then you can pay $5 extra and you get all of the pre-produced and I guess
Sure.
sometimes live programming
So,
that they will have on top
It's kind
of
of
that.
like subscribing to individual channels like Stars or like a
Yes.
BritBox subscription through your Amazon Prime.
Yeah. And the Amazon add-on is, I think, a really good explanation for what this is like.
Okay.
But I just found it very interesting that these two brands, if you like dogs or cute people making houses.
Over under 18 months.
I like both.
Oh, I think both of them have big enough fan bases. I mean, the Gaineses basically own half of Target now
Yeah,
with
it's
their
true.
with their home line, and Caesar Milan's like got his hands in all of the dog products all over the world. So I think they both have a large enough. It's like when Martha Stewart started doing, or Oprah started doing their own branded stuff. They're just going to the next generation of personalities.
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time.
And as a quick side note, if you're out there and you're a dog lover, never watch A Dog Purpose. You'll be scarred for life. This week has been brutal. I just keep thinking about that movie and how if I ever get a dog, it will eventually die, and now I can't think about it. It's sad.
But it's supposed to be like a happy thing.
I
It's supposed to be
know
like a
it's happy, Dad, but it
like
scarred me mentally.
I'm sorry.
You know I'm weak.
Well, I hate to put bad news on top of things, but I know how much of a fan you were of The Good Cop. But Netflix has announced that they are canceling it after one season. No. You're not getting any more Good Cop. I don't know if you were familiar with Good Cop.
I have not watched any Good Cop.
It was a comedy with Tony Danza.
Comedy.
In quotes.
Oh,
Tony Danza
yes.
playing a disgraced corrupt cop.
Oh.
And Josh Groban playing his Goody Two Shoes' son trying to like write the family name.
Yeah, as a cop. He's both
Sure.
cops.
Okay,
They're
they're
both
both
cops.
cops. Got
They're
it,
both
got it.
cops.
Okay.
Tony
Yeah.
Danza is just like a creepy old man trying to hit on chicks as a dirty cop who still's like,
But
I'm
who's
still
he-
dirty. I'm still dirty cop. I'll take money from whoever, you know.
But who is he playing in the show?
He True. And I said it when we first talked about it. They missed a huge opportunity here because I told Emma before we started rolling. Josh Groban didn't sing the theme song. That was sung by one Tony Danza.
I mean, you put the two of them on a show.
Right.
I wonder if they went to their agents and
Yeah.
Or if Josh Groban's like, I don't want to be branded as somebody that just shows up to sing.
yeah, exactly.
And Tony's like, I don't want to be branded as somebody that just shows up to be a boss. And so he got to sing the song. It's kind of like when Clint Eastwood got his song into the end of Gran Torino, and everybody's like, just let him sing a song, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
He's a great
Just
old.
put it-
Just
just put
put
it
it
in.
in.
or
there.
every episode of Sons of Anarchy featuring Katie Seagal.
Yes. the Katie Seagal montage at
Yeah,
the end.
5-minute montage to her folk music. All right, now I know you're a fan. I don't know if you're a fan, but Bachelor Nation has a bright spot.
Yeah.
The mansion was
Yes.
in peril, but
But-
they survived.
Yeah.
Well, the actual mansion where they film survived.
Correct.
The front house did not make it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's okay. They
Yeah.
can rebuild it.
They can rebuild. The fires. The fires really have been no joke
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
anyone that's not in Southern
Yeah,
California.
I actually was up there the
Yeah.
other day because I went with Jen Sturger to check on some animals
Right.
that had been rescued and put at a ranch in Oxnard. It was nuts.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to drive up there, and as you're driving, it's like the hills are just black, but then there will be just like these random pockets of totally normal trees, and the buildings are still there. It's because fires jump,
Right.
They don't necessarily just like keep spreading
Like
in a
a
straight
tornado,
line.
they
Yeah,
jump.
it's totally nuts up there.
Yeah. I
Post-apocalyptic.
watching
Yeah.
watching the helicopter footage. Yeah, where one house would be fully intact and the other house was just destroyed. I helped a friend of mine evac up in Woodland Hills, and,
Yeah.
and driving up there, you just see you just saw. Like
ridge.
a ring of fire,
mm-hmm.
and it was incredibly close. And then in Northern California, unfortunately, like 50-some people have died.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just horrific.
happens so
so
fast.
if you can, if you have the means to donate to any of the relief organizations
Fires. Yeah.
or
Red Cross,
or
yeah.
any of the organizations that are helping to save the animals that
Yeah.
that were displaced and all the homeowners, please do so because it was a real problem.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the Bachelor Mansion is intact.
It's okay.
And they've announced that the new season is going to star.
They announced it a while ago.
Oh,
yeah, Colton
all right.
Underwood.
Colton
It's-
Underwood.
yeah,
I didn't
he's
know
a
that.
virgin.
He's still
He's
a virgin.
What?
They've done
That's
this
his
a few
thing.
times.
That's his thing.
Yeah, they've done the virgin thing. They've done before. It's happened a bunch, and I'm with you. I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's
He was in the NFL.
It's the I
Yeah,
don't
he
know
played
if
for
it's.
he played in the NFL.
Oh, like
Yeah.
he
He
wore
gave
the-
Gatorade to a couple
I was gonna
guys.
say I feel like to me it's very contrived.
100%.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact of whether it's true or not, and also
It's the
like,
ultimate
do
guilty
we
pleasure.
do we really need to make that a storyline?
Well, that's the
You
thing
know?
is that in last season he was, the night of the fantasy suite, he approached Chris Harrison and was like, what's the deal? Am I being forced into something on this? And then he got eliminated before actually getting involved in the fantasy suite, so it's no big deal. But yeah, I mean, he was very, very bland. And when I got married, I never watched until I got married, and then
Now you're doing
right.
fantasy drafts.
I
Now
have
in
to.
fantasy
I have
drafts,
to tell
yeah.
you that I had never watched I watched it last year, but
Okay.
before that I really hadn't.
Yeah.
But I love Burning Love, which is a series
Oh,
that is a
Ken
spin-off
Marino.
of The
Ken
Bachelor.
Marino.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yes.
But it's
Ben Stiller
even
produced that.
It's even funnier watching The Bachelor and going,
it's true.
that's literally it's like
Yeah.
not. It's barely a spoof.
Yeah.
It's barely a spoof.
Yeah.
100%.
So the new season is going to premiere January 7th.
Okay.
I assume you're going to watch.
Of course.
And you're going to enter your fantasy draft and everything else.
I'm a 3-time winner of the fantasy draft.
That's impressive.
Dang.
yeah,
That's
you get
impressive.
free dinner.
That's impressive. All right, now here's a story that found very interesting. So Netflix is joining the singing competition
Oh,
series.
yeah, I heard
They're
about
doing a
that.
show called Rhythm and Flow. It's a hip hop music competition series with Cardi B, Chance the Rapper, T.I. They're all going to be the judges.
Nice.
They're going to go to everyone's hometowns, all the celebrity rappers' hometowns, and find new talent in their hometowns and kind of stuff.
This is like Yo Mama with Wilmer Valderrama. Do you remember that? It's not like that at all.
No.
Do you remember that show?
No.
On MTV. I was on an episode of Yo Mama. I was living in New York at the time, and they would do, it was basically like a freestyle a joke off between like two looks, like, yo, I'm from the Bronx, I'm from Brooklyn. Yo Mama's so fat, her shoes are big. Like, it was kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was in the background of a Yo Mama episode, and I was like, yeah, get him. Yeah, it was terrible. This sounds nothing like it.
This sounds nothing like that. But it's they're going to do 10 episodes, an hour in each, premiering next year. My biggest question is, this is kind of, I think, going to be the first modern day music competition show that isn't going to have the live voting element that so many of the other shows employ.
Because it's going to be all pre-done
on
Netflix.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I assume that the judges or maybe the studio audience are going to be the only ones that get to vote.
They only bring in experts. Like,
it's like Old
literally
America's Funniest Home Video. Like, take out your things.
Oh yeah.
If you think
that,
if you think Dad with wiffle ball should win $5,000, press A.
Yeah. Cat falling off TV. B.
Baby stuck in toilet.
C. Yeah.
All right. So that's coming out next fall. We'll see how that works with the new Switch. And then the only other thing is Meghan Kelly gets fired, and NBC's 9 o'clock a.m. ratings skyrocketed. Yeah. So
I wonder why.
Because they went back to the original format.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They diverted from their 60-year format of having a ensemble cast do the Today Show seamlessly from hour to hour, and instead, in between the 9 o'clock and like the 8 o'clock hour ended, then they did a 1 hour branded show with one personality. And then went back to Kathy Lee at 10 o'clock to try to make it the 10 o'clock Today Show. When they
the Chardonnay hour?
Yeah. Wine Wednesdays and Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
They took Meghan Kelly out of the equation, just went straight today, and now all the ratings have lifted.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. It flows again.
It does.
It was just I'm waiting for the only shoe to drop is Andy Lack, the head of NBC News. He's the one that is accused of sweeping a lot of Matt Lauer stuff under the rug. He's the one that mishandled Tamron Hall when they fired her as they were bringing in Meghan Kelly. He's spent all the money on Meghan Kelly in the first place. So there's some mismanagement going on in NBC News.
I never understood Meghan Kelly. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
But
it's not just
sorry, Meghan. She the ratings went up. So that's about it in the business world.
Cool.
I know we are running long.
Thad's business, his business. What was your song?
Oh, it's time for Thad's business.
Time for Thad's business.
I like it.
All right, let's skip the Daredevil discussion because none of us are on the same page.
I like it a lot.
It's good.
You're bored.
I'm bored.
You're bored.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I've
good.
Watched a couple episodes, and it's I'm kind of the it's good camp. My only comment to this is that I was talking with a friend yesterday because we were all kind of talking about like where we were in Daredevil, and what he said was he's like, I have not watched any of the Marvel Netflix series, and I was like, back when it was like just Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, like the first season of each of those, I would have said, oh my gosh, you should totally watch them. And it's not to say that they are not good. There's just so much.
Yep.
There's so much that I'm like, I get it if you haven't watched them. It's daunting to get into at this point.
Yeah.
Real quick, the dance montage at the season finale of Always Sunny in Philadelphia
Incredible.
was just lights out.
It was
something. I feel like Mac got ripped just for that scene.
Arguably the most poignant thing that the show has done in years.
Ever.
And the moment that Frank has, like the surrogate father aspect of it, it's just brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant.
Loved it.
All right, let's do some Twitter questions. We got a few here. Thank you guys for tweeting in. Just hashtag at Collider TV Talk, at me, at Thad, at Emma, whatever. Emma, you're going to come back again soon. Now that we've got you once, we're going to get you.
Get me again.
Yeah. Okay. I like this question. This one comes from our buddy David Rocha. who I was calling Rocha last week.
Yes.
David Rocha Radio. Have you ever been convinced of one actor's accent in a show only to be completely thrown for a loop when you eventually heard the real accent? Mine is Damian Lewis after watching Homeland. James
Marsters in Buffy the Vampire
also shocked
Slayer.
me.
That would 100% be
Yes.
my answer
Okay.
because he has a British accent on the
Yeah.
show. I thought for sure he was British. Nah, he's like from Kentucky or
Yeah.
something. Like he is not British at all.
At all.
Yeah.
way.
Oh, and a little bit, Lucy Lawless on Xena Warrior Princess.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
from New Zealand and
Yeah.
she does a good American accent.
She does do
Zealand?
it. She does.
She basically exclusively acts with an American accent. I
Yeah.
don't know that I've
Yeah.
ever seen a show where they just let her be Kiwi. You know?
Right.
Bloody Kiwi.
Go Kiwi.
Chips.
Full Kiwi. I would say the lead guy from Rectify.
Dude, I
He
was
threw
going to
me for a
say
loop.
the same thing.
He threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
When I found out he's Australian.
I know.
And he does like the perfect like monotone Georgia, like South Carolina, like just very mellow.
Yes, slow speaking.
Slow speaking voice.
There's a guy I watched that show Mr. In Between on FX, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's one of the ancillary characters plays this mob boss, and he was in Justified.
Yeah.
All the seasons of Justified, and he had like the most down home country bumpkin
Right.
Kentucky accent, and he is an Australian. My mind just didn't equate. Just didn't do it.
You know what? You know which one I'm thinking of right now. It's not a regional accent, but Paul Sparks played Mickey Doyle on Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
And
okay.
he was like the fast talking. He had that like high pitch.
And
like,
he had that little
Yeah.
laugh. He'd go
Yeah,
like,
when he showed up on House of Cards,
Yeah.
and now has been in a bunch of other stuff. Every time I see him now, I cannot get that voice out of my head because that's not anything like the way he
No.
talks.
Yeah.
And I was convinced that they just found like a guy with a weird voice, and I didn't know where he was from or what he was doing. And then he shows up, and he has just none of that,
Right.
of that affectation that was all brought onto that character,
He's a
which
great
only
actor.
makes me like
He
him
was
more.
also very creepy in that Girlfriend Experience show with Elvis's niece, Elvis's granddaughter.
Yeah,
on Showtime.
Riley Keough.
Riley Keough.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one comes from Brian Yetman at Brian_Yetman. Halfway through Bodyguard, and it's great. You're right. Get all the way through it. It's a fantastic
It's
show.
so good.
What's your favorite British drama? Mine are Downton Abbey and Sherlock. Obviously, I'm going to go with Peaky Blinders. He called it
course.
in the tweet.
Yeah.
A close second is definitely Poldark.
Oh, you've gotten on the pole.
No.
lie.
That's a good.
paying
That's
homage
a
to,
call. That's a
Love you, Griff.
David
That's
Griffin.
a callback.
One of my favorites is called The Paradise. It is about a young woman working in a department store.
Okay.
It's really good. And
Interesting.
basically, it's just like she's really smart, but she's kind of like lower class, but she has really good ideas, and it's really, really good.
Shout out to Death in Paradise, a British procedural that my wife watches, which is about cops on an island.
So,
Mine actually would be Downton Abbey, I think.
Yeah.
And The Fall, the one with Gillian Anderson,
yes.
would have been my choice had they not done that third season.
Same thing for me with
They
Broadchurch.
they ruined the end of that show.
Broadchurch,
Yeah.
the last
not
season
stick
of
the
Broadchurch
landing
didn't.
at all.
Yeah. Luther is also fantastic.
Luther is fantastic. It ebbs and flows for me a little bit.
Yeah.
He is always incredible.
It makes me want to move to London just to have a long coat. Anyway.
Actually, they just issue you one when you move there. So
yeah.
as soon as you get your
Yeah.
visa approved, your
Thanks, Emma. Appreciate
long
that.
coat comes with it.
This one comes from @loudfan123212. Brandon, I have
Lots of
autism and I love animation shows like The Loud House and so on. Do you watch those shows?
I have not, and
Okay.
I apologize because I know that this person has been like touting its praises for a
Okay.
long time, but again, there's so much to watch.
Yeah. Next one comes from Justice Seymour @TrailerWatchErp. What shows have worlds rich enough to warrant spin-off movies? Breaking Bad does it well, spin-off show-wise, and they're doing that movie even though we don't like it. Walking Dead can maybe ? I have been preaching this since it ended, is that we need a Sopranos movie. And I
Sure.
want it to be a prequel. I want it to be...
They're working on it.
But it's not going to be a prequel.
But it's about his father.
I want it to be young Tony.
Yeah. Instead, it's about Tony's father.
Yeah, which is cool. Tony's father and Junior, like the early starts of the Soprano clan. It's a cool idea, but I wanted a young Tony. If a movie, if not like a 6-episode miniseries.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think like good worlds that need spin-off series.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see. I like the idea of going back to the early HBO, like the early days of
like
prestige TVs, like the
Larry Sanders.
Yeah, well, or your Sopranos, your Oz, The Shield, which just celebrated their 10th anniversary.
That wasn't on HBO.
No,
Shield.
that was FX, but like that early peak TV era of kind of expanding them a little bit and reintroducing those characters for a new audience.
I think too, you can do a lot sort of within like sci-fi worlds. If you have something like The Expanse, say, where it's like The Expanse is like fairly early space colonization, but like I'd like to see where that ends up, or even the leading up to that of we really are still out on Earth. So, I think something like that, potentially.
Let's do 2 more. Okay. This one comes from Utsof Chawan at Festival CFC. I wanted to start a new show, and I haven't gotten it down to. I've gotten it down to 2: Mr. Robot or The Leftovers. What should I watch first? # Collider TV Talk.
The Leftovers.
100%.
Mr. Robot.
Oh, what? No,
because which one to start first? Season 1 of the first 5 episodes of Mr. Robot versus the first 5 episodes of The Leftovers.
Yeah,
come on.
But listen, you don't stop your meal after the fried calamari. You
Exactly.
get the steak, you get the dessert. The Leftovers is the whole meal.
The Leftovers is definitely like a full multi-course meal of wonderment.
Okay, finally, this comes from quote the Raven at RavenCR. Name a series that you were hyped so much to watch, but were disappointed when you finally watched it. Ooh. Okay. I know I'm going to get so much hate for this, but I got to be honest. Disappointed by Deadwood. I thought it was slow.
Yeah.
I thought it was slow. I thought it was kind of just. I thought it was going to get a lot more, and I love westerns, but the whole thing was just like meh for me. And I watched I watched 2 seasons of Deadwood because I wanted to get ready for this movie, and I just didn't love it.
I think it's a product of its time. I think that when it came out, it was pre-Justified.
Yeah.
It was before kind of a resurgence in the Western genre.
And talk about a series on the flip side that I was so excited to watch as I watched it after it was all over and I binged the whole thing. Justified is awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something that comes to mind for me was you know what? I was late to get on board the Lost train. Like, I didn't really watch Lost when it was coming out, and then I tried to watch it and I just couldn't really get into it.
I'm with you.
I had a sort of similar. I'm still trying, but I had a sort of similar experience with Penny Dreadful. With Penny Dreadful, like I like it, but I really only care about the characters I already know from literature, and I'm not that interested in the characters that are specific to the show.
I think those Penny Dreadful fans were so high on Penny Dreadful that, and another show that if you haven't watched it, which in the same kind of ended too soon as The Nick on Cinemax.
I know you love that show.
Yeah, I was say the one that I would choose will make you sad, but it's Peaky Blinders. You built it, you hyped it up for me so much that when I finally started to try to watch it, I couldn't get into it.
Well, Thad,
I'm sorry.
Hey guys, it's been great having Thad on the show.
It's been a fun run.
Next week, my new co-host will fill the seat. I don't know who it is yet. We might have a singing competition on Netflix that we pre-record and nobody can vote on, and we don't know how it's going to end. Yep. This has been your episode of Collider TV Talk. Emma, thanks so much for being here.
No, thanks for having me. This
miss
is
you on the
great.
show. You're the best. Come back again soon, please.
Totally,
whenever.
I'd love
You guys can watch the show on the Collider Podcast channel. You can listen to the podcast, subscribe, like, share, do whatever you do on the social medias there. I'm Josh Macuga at Josh Macuga. You guys can see me on Collider Sports as well, Collider Live Monday through Wednesday, and hypothetical questions with Josh and Roxy also on this channel. Thad, where can the good people find you?
You can find me at Thadd Williams and see me on the Schmodown and just yell at me for everything that I do.
Sure. And Emma, where can the good people
I
find
am
you?
at Emma Fyffe. Follow the internet wherever Emma Fyffes are sold. You can also check me out doing some stuff on the good old Schmodown.
I do love the Fife Club. One, because I'm a big pun fan.
Yes.
Like, not the rapper, the actual thing, puns.
I got you.
And I like the people in your
Thank you.
corral.
Faction.
Yeah.
Corral.
It's a good one. Stable.
That's what I
Stable.
was
You're
looking
thinking.
for.
They say stable sometimes, but
I know about wrestling. All right, that's it. Collider TV Talk. Are we on next week for Thanksgiving?
We're gonna try to find some time to record before the break.
Okay.
So hopefully we can do something.
Okay.
A little special Thanksgiving thing. Might not be as topical.
Okay.
Sure.
But we'll do something for the Thanksgiving.
It'll be full of turkey. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Collider TV Talk. We'll see you next time. As always, put down the book, pick up the remote.